Yeah, I think that sports was always just a big part of my life from growing up. I started swimming at a very young age. My first competitive race was when I was 4 years old. And so it's always been a big part of my life. I think when the coaching really started to gain some traction with me actually came about because of an injury. During my freshman year in college, I unfortunately broke my back and was able to actually do a bunch of rehab and came back my sophomore year and was actually swimming the best I ever had in my life. And then I tore my rotator cuff, and that's when I kind of decided, you know what, like I think the swimming gods are telling me that it's time to hang it up. But I was nervous and I was scared about what that meant. And the head coach at DePaul at the time, Adam Cohen, said to me, he's like, you know what, like I get it, and we like having you around. I know how much you want to be a part of the team. Do you want to stay on as a student assistant? And at first I was like, absolutely great, no problem, and I thought, okay, hey, I'm going to be kind of a student manager, that kind of thing, which was fine. I wanted to be around the team. I wanted to be a part of it. And through the rest of my sophomore year, that's kind of how it was. And then junior year, coach started giving me more things to do and, let me start writing some workouts and, things like that. And the guys on the team really trusted me with working with them, even guys that were older than me at the time, or guys that were really good friends of mine in my own class, and so it really kind of grew from there. And then the women's coach, Mary Brecher at DePaul, she also kind of started noticing that, hey, this is an extra set of hands, extra set of eyes that I can communicate effectively with the team and all that. And so then she asked me to kind of start helping the women's team out as well. So it really just kind of grew from there. And so I really kind of fell in love with it at that point. Still wasn't 100% sure that's where I was headed with my life. And so after I graduated from college, I didn't coach for a couple years, and then got back into it when I was in grad school, and I was coaching at Rose-Hulman. And then from there, moving up to Chicago and the University of Chicago, and it's just kind of gone off from there. But really, it all started, from an injury. And so, I really tried to make, something good out of a really bad experience. And I do. I think it's turned out really well. And it gives me a different perspective working with some of our student athletes who have to go through the ups and downs of their athletic career and whether it's because of an injury or anything else, and I can tell them, hey, I went through that. And, unfortunately my competitive career had to end, but it led me to something very positive and something that has been, such a huge part of my life. That's a good question. So, now that I've been here for 10 years, going into my 11th season, there's, when someone might ask that question, there's a lot of things that start flooding into my mind. And it's easy to kind of look back and say, okay, maybe this particular their athlete or this particular race or, this accolade, things like that. And certainly I can come up with a ton of those, whether it was the first time I had an individual conference champion, which was Maggie DeLeon, the first time we had a relay that was conference champions, which was the men's 800 free relay with Drew Hamilton, Oliver Hudgens, Aaron Tam, and Andrew Henning. The first time we had someone qualify for nationals, the first All-American, those things, it's kind of easy to rattle those off. And those are great. Those are awesome. Those are wonderful memories. But then you start thinking also about maybe some of the athletes that weren't the stars on the team per se, or maybe didn't have, some of those accolades. But in swimming, it's with times and all that, it's so easy to measure, and it's so easy to see someone progress. So those times when someone would touch the wall and then there's just that look, they look at the scoreboard, they see their time, and then it was just like smile ear to ear, right? And they're just beaming. And I get into the emotion of it too. I get jumping up and down when I'm on deck when something awesome is happening. Whether that means someone is winning the race or someone is just getting a new personal best or whatever it might be, we try to get excited for all of those successes. And the look on somebody's face when they just won a personal best or they just achieved a cut that maybe they didn't think they were able to get, or a diver who just completed a dive that they didn't think they were able to do or finally hit it the right way. There's that look, and anyone that's around athletics knows that look from their athletes and knows what I'm talking about. And I think that those are a lot of the memories that kind of come into play, and and a lot of times that they end up in tears, whether it's the athlete or me. They know I'm a big softie and a big teddy bear, and I'll end up crying too. And those are the real exciting and fun memories that kind of stick with you. And then, since I've been here long enough, now, getting invited to weddings and, hearing about athletes that I've coached that now are having kids. And it's like, man, like that's awesome. And then being a part of their lives and just realizing that their experience on our team and in our program really enhanced their college life and really, really kind of help set them up for their career, their life, whatever it might be. And I think, one thing that we talk about in our program and that we strive to do is really think about those life lessons that are learned with athletics. And, no matter what team anyone's on, there's going to be a ton of life lessons. And, at Division III, someone's not necessarily training for the Olympics. They're not training to go pro, and so we're working hard and we're setting a high standard and big time goals, but there's a lot more to it. And there's a lot more things I think that go into it than what a lot of people realize who might be on the outside looking in. And it's something that I've always strived to do, is to help them realize what some of those kind of life skills are. It's just, we have amazing student athletes, and I've been very, very fortunate to coach some amazing people. And kind of a not so great memory. Unfortunately, one year we were traveling for our training trip down to Fort Lauderdale, and we were arriving, and the team was coming from all over the country, and we arrived, and people arrived at the Fort Lauderdale airport right as there was a shooting going on in the baggage claim area at the airport. We had some people on the ground, some people still on flights. My flight landed. I was on the tarmac for almost 6 hours before they let us go. But the minute news got out and the minute we became aware of the situation, immediately I shifted to making sure I knew where every single person was. And luckily in the age of technology, you can do that pretty easily. Within 30 minutes, we knew where every single person was. I knew, kind of exact locations of everyone, and how the team in that situation handled themselves and then the days immediately following was amazing. And I think that's when it really clicked in my head just how impressive the student athletes are that I have the pleasure to work with. I already knew, a lot. I already knew how good they were, but watching them handle that situation and handle the kind of the couple days immediately following the aftermath of it was really impressive. And I think that's a testament to who they are. That's a testament to, the type of person that is attracted to Case Western and then to our program. And so, although that was not a great memory at the time, looking back upon it, we can really reflect on how impressive and professional those students at the time really handled that situation. That is a really difficult question to answer. I've been very fortunate to work with some really great people and to have some head coaches that I've had the pleasure of working with. And, it's tough to kind of narrow down. I mean, I already mentioned Coach Cohen and Coach Brecher, the Coach Cohen is still the head coach at DePaul, and so he and I, talk on a fairly regular basis. Coach Brecher has retired now, but she and I talk on a pretty regular basis. Coach Weber at University of Chicago, when he hired me in and kind of brought me in, it was great. He kind of saw us as this partnership, and we worked really well together. And we really had a good blend of kind of what our strengths and weaknesses were. And so he's someone that I've always felt like helped kind of bring me on a little bit after I'd been out of coaching for a little bit. And so it was a really good situation. But I've had some amazing assistant coaches I've had the pleasure of working with as well. Emily Wylam at the University of Rochester. She was my first assistant when I came to Case. She was already on board when I got hired, and that could have been a really difficult situation for us to be in, but we just clicked and we worked really well. And we still communicate all the time with each other, and that's awesome. Christy Miller and then current assistant Christy Kinzer, they're both phenomenal women as well, and have brought so much to our program. And I always try to learn from them, and as they're hopefully learning from me a little bit. And then there's coaches that are either not people that I've worked with directly, or that maybe even coach other sports that I've had the opportunity and the pleasure to be around and things like that. And my brother's head coach in college, Greg Perini at Denison. He's someone that I've always kind of admired a little bit from afar, but he's always someone that if I ever had a question and wanted to ask something about, he'd always be willing to chat with me about things. It's kind of the same with Brad Shively at Washington University. I've known him for a long time. Even when I was competing at DePaul, I first met him, and he's also someone that's more than willing to, just kind of chat and to talk something through with me. And I've always liked that about the coaching community. And I always try to, I'm in a new school or different athletic department to look at, some of the other coaches and see what they do and say, okay, hey, yeah, that's something that I could take, or that's kind of a personality trait, or a little bit of a, kind of a whatever it might be, and bring to our program. And then, I'd certainly be remiss if I didn't say that, my parents are certainly very influential in my life, and it was awesome. My parents, and go into whatever career path you want to do. And, it's great. They usually get to come to at least one meet every year, and be with us, which is awesome. And that's, I'm very fortunate for that. And then, my wife, Shannon, one thing I've always taken from her is just her work ethic and her, kind of her professionalism and demeanor about, working in higher ed. She works in higher ed as well. And so we're able to really bounce a lot of things off each other. And it always gives me a little bit of a different angle than just like the athletic side of things. And so it's always great to talk with her. And, so I think that I'm someone who really tries to bring in a lot of things from different people, and, has kind of created who I am and how I operate with things. I don't like to be, stuck with, too many things that maybe are just me. I like to bring in some new ideas periodically. Sports growing up. I grew up in a small town, and sports, I was always doing something, and really I was always doing some sort of sport really until I went off to college. And then that's when I finally specialized in one area. And so, I look back and I played baseball, I played soccer. This might surprise people that know me, but I did some gymnastics when I was, growing up. I think that how it's changed is the specialization component. I think that, the only like travel teams that really was around when I grew up was like travel soccer, and I wasn't a part of that. But everything else was, yeah, you may travel, but you're traveling 20 minutes down the road, not, a couple hours and gone for a whole weekend or anything like that. And nobody specialized when I was growing up. Maybe people started to in high school a little bit, but not as kids. And, I think that I love the fact that I did all sorts of different things. I love the fact that in high school, I played football, I was on the swimming team and was on the track team. And, I thought that was great. And, had different friends and was involved with those different people. And I think that helped. And I'm glad that I didn't specialize until I got into college. But nowadays, it just seems like it's all about, specialization, private coaches, getting on the right AAU team, whatever it might be. In swimming, you see that a little bit too. It's like, okay, I got to get on the right club team. And if there's multiple clubs team in the area, which one's the best? And, and all of that. And then within club teams, there are different levels and all that kind of thing. And it's, I feel like, I don't want to say like the fun is gone, because I think that the fun is probably still there. But, as an athlete, you look back and some of my most favorite memories are when I was swimming on our summer rec league team, which was not super serious. It wasn't like these major club teams that you see now, but yet we were still accomplished. I mean, we had people that went on and swam at colleges. We had people that are swimming at Ohio State, at Miami of Ohio, at, Denison, Mount Union, Wisconsin, Stevens Point. We had people, kind of all over the place. And so it wasn't like we were bad. It's just different, but it was so much fun. Summer rec league swimming was just a lot of fun. And I think that may be not the case anymore. At least maybe more in a kind of a metropolitan area. But I think that's where the big difference is kind of the specialization and kind of the private coaching kind of stuff, things like that. I mean, there's a difference between, like a private coaching to like just help, maybe clean up a stroke for swimming, for example, or, something like that. Or, but it's these people that are spending hours and hours and hours and hours every week with a, quarterback coach or, whatever it might be. I think that's different than what it was growing up. Yeah, that one's tough. I love sporting events. I love to go into different things, but there's not one that like sticks out as, yep, that's like, but I've been to Indianapolis 500, been to the Kentucky Derby, been to a bunch of Ohio State football games, been to Ohio State Michigan games, been to NFL playoff games, NBA playoff games, and so there's a lot of things that, pop into my head. I think one of the coolest things I ever saw, I was at Wrigley Field on a Sunday night game when David Cohn won his 300th game for the Mets. So even though the Cubs lost, it was, being able to be there when something historical happened was pretty cool. And, so watching somebody win their 300th game was impressive to see. I always want to go to an Olympics. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Going to a Super Bowl or something like that, I think would be pretty cool. Or Rose Bowl, that kind of thing. But someday I'll get to some of that stuff. But I think that when I think about the events I've been to, it's with going to Ohio State football games with my dad or with the rest of my family, and the tailgating with my aunts and uncles and cousins and all that, or it's going to the Indy 500 with buddies and that whole experience, because it is an experience, or the Kentucky Derby with buddies in the infield. That's a whole different experience as well, and so it's pretty cool. But I went to I went to the last time Michael Jordan played the Pacers in Indianapolis. I was at that game. That was when he was playing for Washington, but it was the only time I ever got a chance to see him play live. And I was in college at the time and said, I've got to go. I got to go see it. And so went to that game. But I saw Shaq play his rookie year in Orlando, but then I also saw Kobe Bryant play his rookie year with LA. So there's things like that. I saw, I've seen Peyton Manning play both in college and in the pros. That's the fun stuff. Or if you randomly meet a famous athlete, and I've met Archie Griffin, I've met Bernie Kosar, Dr. J. I was standing behind him once on an airplane, just randomly, it's just like, okay, where, how does that happen? But it's fun, cool stuff like that. I think is just the kind of random things that happen. That's the fun stuff, and that's when that's when it gets cool. And so I've always enjoyed random interactions with professional athletes as well. Yeah, I'm kind of an open book, so I think a lot of people know a lot about me. The only thing that I can think of is that people may not think about or know that I've been skydiving once in my life, because it's a little, not a lot of people do it, but it's, I don't know, I'm a big dude, and they might be like, why would you do that? And, and then the whole death possibility is also a reason why people might think, why are you doing that? But I've done that. I think that something that might surprise people is that even though I'm, I don't mind being in front of a big group, and I'm pretty exuberant person. I think I'm a big introvert, actually. I'm just a pretty extroverted introvert. And I think that surprises a little people too, is that, sometimes I like to kind of stay to myself a little bit. And, I think that can take people by surprise a little bit. But I think the skydiving thing, that's something I've done that probably not a lot of people know about. It was a lot of fun. It was very scary. And I remember thinking to myself when I was standing at the edge of the door of the airplane, why am I about to jump out of a perfectly good airplane? That was the last thought that ran through my head before I pulled back and set sail. I think that was a pretty fun experience, and the adrenaline was pumping pretty good after Shannon and I got done with that. So we did it together, which was a lot of fun. So, but that's probably something a lot of people don't know.